All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the most recent hot button topic / debate that has been happening in the Ashes of Creation space for the last couple of months now, but it has slowly been snowballing into a bigger and bigger discussion, especially since the live stream event that happened last week. There's been a lot of debate about this. I have tried to read as much as possible. I've been listening to other points of view from other content creators and other people in the space, other people on Discord and social media in general. And I think I've listened, and I wanted to provide that point of view. And then I also wanted to provide my own, because I think there are a few things missing, and I wanted to attempt to try to provide that in this video. Now, I'm not going to claim to know every aspect or anything like that. This is a game that doesn't exist yet. I'm not trying to provide all avenues or every possible scenario that's going to exist. This is a player-driven game where personalities and personal choices will be made on an individual level. And because of that, there are a million different possibilities that can happen, but I wanted to highlight some things that aren't really being brought up, that aren't brought into the equation for this discussion, because I think they're important, and I think that overall view is good for this discussion. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. Now, before we dive into what I think and all of that, let's talk about what the argument is. And the argument that I've heard, so that we are all on the same page. The Caravan PvP live stream happened last week, and the Caravans, for those of you guys that don't know, that aren't frequent in the Ashes of Creation space, it's a system with which people who harvest resources can transfer their goods to other parts of the world and potentially reap higher benefits. So the way the World of Era is designed is different parts of the world will have different dominant resources. And so because all these resources will be scarce in their own unique way, and they'll be required for different artisan crafting, they will potentially be more valuable on other parts of the map, which incentivizes people to travel across the world. So what is cheap in your area, in your own marketplace, could be very, very expensive across the world. And so farmers, collectors, harvesters, these sorts of players will be incentivized to travel their goods to another part of the map to where they'll reap a bigger return. You could potentially see, a 2x or a 3x or a 5x, maybe even a 10x return on value, depending on the overall scarcity that Intrepid provides. When you think about doing like a week's worth of harvesting and collecting, and then adding an hour worth of a caravan for a potential 5x return or a 10x return, the risk on investment sounds quite nice. So a lot of people will be looking towards taking all the resources that they've been collecting, packing them up into caravans and grouping together and traveling them across the map. So they have to invest the time and effort to collect these resources, and then they have to invest the resources required to build these caravans. And while you're on these caravan runs, PvPers can come along and attack you, and if they kill everybody defending the caravan, they could potentially take your resources and walk off with them.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And so the debate that's been happening is, okay, the defenders carry the risk of losing everything that they've been farming for a week, 2 weeks, a month, who knows how long that they've been collecting this, and also the caravan cost to build these if they lose. If they win, obviously they get the return on an investment. The attackers, if they lose, they just lose gear degradation. And there's not much risk that the attackers get outside of that. And so the belief from this discussion is that attackers are incentivized to attack caravans more because they don't really have a downside for risk. And so because of that, there's a belief that maybe attackers should be punished a little bit more to make it more fair. This is a risk versus reward type of game. It's a sandbox MMO where the game wants to provide you as many choices and decisions as possible. And the belief among these players is that there's not enough of a decision here for attackers. Now, I disagree. I disagree with this point of view, and I think there are some things being missed. First of all, let's just start at the beginning. 5 minutes in, let's start at the beginning of the overall discussion. As MMO players, we all like to progress our characters. We all like to progress in the game. We all start off weaker in the beginning. We become basically like superpowered demigods towards the end in a lot of games. This game isn't going to be like that, but we hope to be stronger in month 6 than we do on day 1. We all like to progress. It doesn't matter whether we're PvPers, whether we are blacksmithers, crafters, whatever. We all want to progress in our favorite gameplay loops. And so in Ashes of Creation, we are incentivized to level up nodes. Nodes are the village system in the game. And so when you level up the village, when you level up your node, what happens is different quest lines unlock. So if when you go from a 1 to a 2 to a 2 to a 3 and you level up to the highest level node, different quest lines and different things will level up in the world around you, allowing you to further gain experience for your character. The higher level nodes also have what is called freeholds. Freeholds is where all the high-end Grandmaster crafting expertise will come from. So if you want to be a master blacksmith or anything like that, you need to have a high-end freehold in order to craft the highest level gear. And so the best stuff crafting-wise will come out of these freeholds, and these freeholds will come out of these higher-end nodes. Now, not everybody will have the highest end node in Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation wants to create resource scarcity, and they also want to create a scarcity among these titles. If everybody's a Grandmaster, is anybody a Grandmaster is basically their point of view, how I, a layman, interpret it. And so people are incentivized to work for themselves because it's going to be a challenge to go about getting. And so, in my opinion, when Ashes of Creation inevitably opens up the doors and they allow people to come in and play, you're going to see a land rush style game where people move out and they move to find powerful guilds, or they're already working with guilds. There's already guilds that exist in this game that doesn't exist. Guilds were formed before the game has gone live. And so there will already be people out there looking to do quest lines and level up a node in order to get it leveled up as quickly as possible so that they can unlock their character progression as quickly as possible so that they can be a badass among their peers. That's how a lot of players are going to function. And so you're going to see people rushing out and going to do these things. Now, we've talked about nodes. Where do caravans lie in this? Well, you have mayoral caravans and you have personalized caravans. Mayoral caravans allow the mayors of these nodes to send out commodities to other nodes and work in harmony. And so what you basically do is you open up alliance relations and you can say, hey, we have this type of commodity, like we have marble. You guys, we need granite. You guys have granite. We have marble. Let's make an exchange. It's a fair trade. Like, you need this, we need this. Let's open up a deal. And so it allows these nodes to work together in order to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish faster. Because, two nodes across the map in the beginning aren't really going to be competing with each other. It's typically early on, in my opinion, neighboring nodes will be vying with each other to become the king master node while everybody else becomes the vassal node. And so you're going to see this competition and you're going to see these sorts of communications open up. Now, that's not the only way caravans or resources can be transported. Some guilds, highly PvP loot-friendly guilds, will be going around attempting to take these resources that are being traveled across the world as well. But basically, you have these two different ways to exchange these resources. Now, why would a node exchange resources in this way? Well, if you're trying to level up your node in the quickest way possible, some of the resources required for leveling your node will not be available in your area as plentifully as it is in another area. And so if you can open up these relations and if you can work with other people, if you imagine a scenario where you have two nodes and you have one that's basically staying introverted and not working with anybody, they don't want to step on any toes, they're not gonna raise any waves, they don't want to fight anybody, they don't want anybody to fight them. If they have the same amount of people and they have the same amount of people farming and working towards their node, they will not accomplish the same thing as a node that is working with multiple other nodes to acquire other resources faster via trade. Because if they're exchanging they're a plentiful resource for something that's more rare, and they're able to get that 1-for-1 deal. They're able to amplify their resources, their gold, and these sorts of things a lot quicker, which means that their node will level up a lot faster than other nodes. And so mayors will be inclined in the system to send out these caravans in order to level up their node as quickly as possible, because like I said, the goal is progression. And so mayoral nodes already work in this way. Personalized caravans will work in this way as well. You also have your resources and goods for different types of crafting, and different nodes will require different things at different points in time. You might have certain group of crafters that need your ash wood. Maybe you have some bow makers up north and they need ash for their certain type of progression and they don't have any up there, but you have plenty. And so down where you're at, if let's say hypothetically, it takes you a week to harvest 100 ash. In your area, it sells for 1 gold. And so you can make 100 gold in your area by selling it. Or you can travel the 45 minutes north where it's a lot more scarce. And because they're in high demand up here, they're willing to pay 10 gold a piece for this 100 ash. And so for this hypothetical situation that doesn't exist in a game that doesn't exist, if you take this caravan ride up north, an hour's worth of your time could potentially yield a 10x return on your investment. Another way to look at this, and I don't want to get too math heavy on you guys, but let's say you actually get this hypothetical 10x return where they're asking for 10 gold versus your 1 gold. If you do this run 10 times, like for 10 weeks in a row, you run a caravan up north, right? Because you want to get your 10x return. If you do 2 choices, the number 1 where you stay in your node and you turn in your 100 ash and you get 1 gold apiece, at the end of 10 weeks, by not doing a caravan run, you will have gained 1,000 gold, right? It's fine. It's safe. It's very, very harmless. Nothing bad can happen. But in this other situation, in 1 week, if you're able to successfully drop it off, you gain 1,000 gold. And so in this scenario, all you need to do to break even with just dropping gold off safely on a 10x return is successfully deposit the caravan to the other node 1 time and you break even. If you have a 20% success rate, you win 2 times out of 10. You're just not a very good PvPer. There's more people attacking. Whatever happens, like you just run across it. You still doubled your output over a 10-week period in this situation. And that's just with that's obviously with a 10x. In a 5x, it's the exact same way. It's just, you just have lower percentages. So if you, on a 5x return, if you have 2 successful transports, or you're successfully able to transport 40% of the time, you get a 2x return on what you would get if you just dropped it off at your node. And so these types of incentives, we don't know the exact percentage or multiplier that will exist, but this is what's going to incentivize just about everybody, myself included, to run caravans. The fact that I can have this potential really large multiplier of resource return on caravans is going to incentivize me to say, hey, I personally, guys, I don't like going out and chopping wood and collecting rocks and doing these sorts of things. I want to PvP. But in order to PvP successfully, I need gold. I need resources. I need materials. In order to get those materials, it could be very profitable for me to collect these things and then run caravans myself. Because then when I run caravans, I get the PvP that I want. And so as long as these incentivizations are there, where you have multipliers for people to travel an hour north or 2 hours north or east or west or whatever to go on these long caravan runs to get 5x returns, potential 10x returns in spaces where these resources are scarce, you're going to have this incentivization among just about every player in the game to want to run caravans. And so the question of attackers versus defenders kind of falls flat at that point in time, because at any point in time, somebody is going to be a caravan driver because it's profitable to do so. And so if everybody's attacking your caravan in a hypothetical situation where people are just trying to attack and loot, for me, I see that as a potential opportunity to go, hey, if I get really good at this entire caravan defense thing to where I'm able to defend caravans, I could get hired out to do this among other nodes, and they could potentially pay me profitably to do the thing that I want to do, which is PvP. And so these types of aspects come into play. The bonus that you get, as long as Intrepid does this well, will incentivize a lot of people to run these caravans. Not just, it's not just caravan attackers versus defenders. It's the vast majority of people at any point in time will be defenders of caravans, because if they make it profitable, people will want to do it. And so that's one of the big aspects that's missing. The other big aspect that is missing in this discussion, in my opinion, the bigger one, is the attackers do carry a lot of risk. They carry a ton of risk in this game. So you see the conversation happening everywhere. People talking about how they're very worried about losing caravans, losing all their work. It's going to make them angry. It's going to be unfun for these things to happen. And I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree. People aren't going to be happy when their caravans are sacked and all their week's worth of resources are taken away. Because basically what that means is another group of players are saying, hey, we value our time and we value our progression over your own.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
We don't care.
And we're going to take your stuff. And so this type of anger, annoyance, whatever, frustration is a very natural thing to have happen in these situations when you spend that much effort and you have somebody topple it over. I'm going to lose a caravan as well. I know it. And I'm not going to be, super thrilled about it either. But the thing is it doesn't just stop there in this game. There are multiple other systems that exist. There's guild wars. There is node wars. And so if you put yourselves in the shoes of an attacker and put yourself as an attacker in a medium-sized node, let's just say we're an average node. There's nodes smaller than us. There's nodes larger than us. If we attack a larger node that has more resources and has more players and more PvPers, we already know what's going to happen. They're going to come out with the bat and they're going to teach us a lesson. And what happens in those situations is these bigger nodes can declare a war on your node and they can wipe you out. And so all those weeks, months, potentially years worth of progression you've been working on a node and everybody else in your node has been doing, they can be wiped out because of you. Caravans are designed to be a group-based event. They're a group-based event. And so oftentimes I think you're going to see groups of friends running in guilds together, transporting and attacking them. And so you will see groups of the same people in the same guild attacking, and they probably will be allied to a specific node because that's where the progression is going to come from. Because of this, they get a target on their head. If they're attacking one caravan in one area, they're probably attacking caravans in other areas, guys. They're probably attacking multiple different caravans. And so they're developing enemies. For as annoyed as you are about somebody attacking your caravan, there's probably 5-10 other groups of people that are experiencing the exact same thing. And so if you put yourself in that situation where larger nodes will immediately thump down smaller nodes, we already see that there is a risk. Smaller nodes will also work together. That there will be some groups of people that will create essentially a suicide pact, and they will say, hey, we only got 20 people over in our node. We're working, but we just haven't collected people. You have 20 people over in your node. Maybe let's work together. Like we're not strong individually, but like if we work together, if somebody attacks one of us, they attack all of us, and you develop essentially these alliances, you're also going to have these landmines of smaller groups of nodes where you think you're safe as a medium-sized node tackling their caravans. And then all of a sudden you get war declared on you by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different nodes at the same time, and they also topple you over. And so the point that I'm trying to make is there are other systems in play here. Just because as an attacker you don't have tangible resource loss at that point in time does not mean that you don't have tangible loss available for you in the future. Players will work together. Players will work together. They will get annoyed at the bully on the street and they will fight back. And if you lose a node war, you lose everything. You lose absolutely everything. You lose your freeholds, you lose your apartments, you lose your buildings, and you're going to see as nodes get leveled higher and higher and higher, you're going to see those types of nodes take a foot off the gas oftentimes on the aggression to other nodes, because they're going to go, hey, like we're close to the end here, guys. Like we're at the home run. We're on the home stretch here. Let's just not, bite off more than we can chew and lose it all. Like we're almost here. And so you're going to see these situations where people are vying for these different things. And yeah, if you're sacking resources for your specific node, don't be surprised if a group of nodes or one larger or one better at PvP than you comes knocking at the door. And so these types of potential situations that can happen is a big deterrent for attackers. It will be something that will cross the mind of attackers in this game. They will look and they will see things, they will see these situations, and they weigh the pros and cons of it, because it's often, just because it's not tangible at that point in time, the risk of losing everything is high enough that it's going to deter a lot of people from attempting to go crazy in these sorts of situations. I think, in my experience, I think you're going to see a lot of people work together. You will obviously have Caravan Raiders as well, but the Caravan Raiders attacking and bullying and constantly beating up one group of people is only going to continue to happen if you let it. It's only going to keep happening if you play as a doormat. If you play as a doormat and you don't fight back and you don't work with other people the way the game is designed to have happen, you will consistently be farmed for resources because you are not fighting back, and that specific node has deemed you a farm and you are now their resource. And so what I would say is, if you are excited about this game and you're not so PvP inclined, that's okay. That's okay. There's plenty of things in this game that you can do, that you can be good at and you can enjoy, but you're going to have to develop connections with PvPers. PvPers will have to develop connections with you as well. If you're a Grandmaster Crafter, I'll tell you this right now, I need your help. I want the best gear. I'll help you out. I promise I'll help you out. Please make me the best gear possible, and that would be great. And so you'll have those sorts of conversations that you can have in this game. And so this entire discussion is really fun. It's really fun to talk about because you see how these different communications can potentially happen. You see how, like, when you look in the vacuum of a caravan itself, it doesn't tangibly look fair immediately. But when you pull back and you look at the bigger overall picture and you look at what's happening, caravans are just part of a catalyst. It is something that is going to ignite politics. It's something that is going to ignite drama in the space. It is something that is going to ignite world-changing events like nodes being toppled. Hopefully this makes some sense. Hopefully I tried to add a little bit more to this conversation. I think there's plenty of risk. I think the risk of losing everything, although it's not effective immediately or potentially, is there. It is there. It is tangible. It is real. And that is something that is a consequence that many players will face in the future if they don't think about it, or if they run across somebody with a bigger stick. And so I'm going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comment section below and I will do my best to answer it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.